Hello and welcome to the tutorial for Blazer the Fire Dragon. We're going to begin by crocheting his head, so grab your red yarn and your hook and let's get started. The first round has already been made for you, so gently pull it out from the center and let's take a closer look at everything. Arrange it so that this loop is on the right hand side. This is where we're going to insert our hook. We want to tighten it so it fits nicely around our hook, not too loose, not too tight. If you're confused about how to hold your yarn, you can wrap it around your pointer finger a couple times, or my favorite way is to bring it up between my pointer and middle fingers, then gently hold the loose yarn against my palm with my ring and pinky fingers. The main thing is that you feel comfortable, so don't overthink it too much. Now let's look at this first round and figure out what everything is. The first round is made out of 6 single crochets, which we'll call stitches, and the top of them are these little V's. Starting from where our hook is, that's 6, 5, 4, and the stitch marker is the third. This is the second, and this is the first single crochet. So our first round is basically done. To finish every round, we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch of the round and make a slip stitch. So remove the stitch marker from the first one. Then insert your hook under both of these loops of the stitch. And when you're ready, you're going to yarn over, which means to place the yarn on top of the hook, then pull it back through the stitch. And you should now have 2 loops on your hook. To finish making the slip stitch, all you need to do is pull the first loop through the second loop on your hook. And that's our slip stitch done. Now we're going to chain 1 to get ready for the next round. To make a chain, you need to yarn over and then pull it through the loop on your hook. And that's it. And now we're ready to begin round 2. For round 2, we're going to increase in every stitch around. Increasing means making 2 single crochets in the same stitch. We're going to make the first increase in the stitch we just made a slip stitch into. So insert your hook into the same spot. Then yarn over and pull it back through the stitch. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. To finish the single crochet, yarn over again and pull it through both loops on your hook. That's our first single crochet. To help you keep track of the beginning, grab your stitch marker and insert it into the single crochet that we just made. Just insert it under both loops of the little V. And now we need to make 1 more single crochet in the same stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, and pull the loop back through the stitch. Yarn over, and pull through both loops. And now we've made the first increase. We're going to repeat that 5 more times now, making an increase into every stitch. So when you're ready, remove the stitch marker from the next one and make 2 single crochets in it. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And now make another single crochet in this stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Just let the hook do all of the work for you. Continue making an increase in every stitch and I'll meet you at the end. I'm going to speed this up, but you can adjust the speed in the settings below to slow it down if you need to. I just finished making my last increase. You should have made 12 single crochets. So quickly count and make sure that you didn't miss any or make any extra. If you have extra, then you may have worked into the slip stitch, which we don't want to do. We're always going to ignore the slip stitch in chain 1. We'll only be working into the single crochets. Once you're done, we're going to finish the round with a slip stitch and chain 1. So remove the stitch marker from the first single crochet. Then insert your hook into that stitch and make a slip stitch. Yarn over and pull it through. Then pull it through the loop on your hook. And now chain 1, yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook. Great job, everyone. Now it's time for round 3. For this round, we're going to single crochet in the first one, increase in the next, then single crochet, then increase, repeated over and over until we reach the end. So let's go ahead and insert our hook into the first stitch where we work the slip stitch and make a single crochet. Don't forget to place your stitch marker in there so we don't lose track of the beginning. And now we're going to increase in the next stitch. So make the first single crochet, and then insert your hook in there again and make the second single crochet. Now make one single crochet in the next stitch, and again increase in the next. I'm going to speed it up now, but feel free to slow it down if you need to, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So I'm working into the final stitch now, which is going to be an increase. And as always, we're going to ignore the slip stitch and chain one. Once you're done, do a quick little count of your round to make sure you have 18 single crochets. And we're going to remove the stitch marker from the first one and make a slip stitch in it. And then chain one to get ready for the next round. Round 4. For this round, we're going to make one single crochet in the first and second stitches, and then an increase. Then we'll repeat that 5 more times. Single crochet, increase, over and over again. So let's make our first single crochet. And don't forget to pop the stitch marker in there. And now we're going to make one single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to increase in the next stitch. And now we're going to do one single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now we'll do another increase. I'm going to speed this up now, but repeat that 4 more times and I'll meet you at the end. You should have made 24 stitches in this round. And as always, I'm going to remove the stitch marker, slip stitch to the first, then chain 1. Time for round 5. We're going to begin by making a single crochet in each of the first 9 stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect, and now we're going to increase in the next stitch. Awesome, and now one single crochet in the next stitch. Now we're going to increase in each of the next 2 stitches. There's my first increase. And there's my second. Now we're going to single crochet and then increase. Perfect. Now finish by making a single crochet in the remaining stitches. So make 9 single crochets. Great job, everyone. You should now have 28 stitches, so do a quick count before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1. Round 6. We're going to start by making a single crochet in each of the first 14 stitches. So make 14 single crochets, and then I'll meet you for the next steps. Great job. Now we're going to make a triple increase, which is 3 single crochets in the same stitch. So make the first single crochet. Now reinsert the hook and make the second. Now reinsert your hook and make the last single crochet. And that's our triple increase. Now we're going to single crochet in the rest of the remaining stitches. So make 13 single crochets before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1. At the end, you should have 30 stitches. Round 7, easy peasy round. All we're going to do is make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So make 30 single crochets before slip stitching to the first and chaining 1, and I'll meet you for the next round. Time for round 8. We're going to do some color changes in this round, but I'll walk you through it and it won't be too bad. Now we're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, then decrease. So let's make our next 3 single crochets and then we'll learn how to decrease. Alrighty, so decreasing means turning 2 stitches into 1. To decrease, we're going to insert our hook under the front loop of the first stitch, so just the loop that's closer to you, not under both loops, and then insert it under the front loop of the second stitch. Great job, everyone. Now yarn over and bring it back through. Then yarn over again and pull it through both loops on your hook, just like a normal single crochet. Great job. Now do that one more time. Make 3 single crochets and another decrease. There's my 3 single crochets, and now we're going to decrease, but we're not going to finish it. Insert your hook into the front loop of the first one, and then insert your hook into the front loop of the next one. Yarn over and pull it through, and pause here. We're not going to yarn over and finish it because now we need to do a color change. So grab your cream colored yarn and let's learn how to do it. We're going to start by making a loose loop with the cream yarn. Don't worry about making a slip knot or anything like that. We're just going to drape it on top of the hook. Just like that. It can be a little tricky to hold everything in your hand, but you want to pull the red yarn to help tighten the loop on your hook, and then keep the red yarn taut and tight using your pointer finger. Then use your middle finger and thumb to pinch both ends of the cream yarn against the inside of the head. You want the cream loop to feel tight around your hook. Once you're ready, you're going to pull the cream yarn through both of the red loops. And that's our color change. Great job, everyone. Not too bad, right? Now you can ignore the red yarn and start holding the cream yarn. And also for right now, continue pinching the tail of the cream yarn against the inside of the head to keep this loop on the hook secure. Now with the cream, we're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, decrease 3 times. So let's make our first 3 single crochets. Give the cream yarn tail a little tug to make sure it's secured, and then you can stop worrying about it. All right, there's my 3 single crochets, and now we need to decrease. Insert your hook under the front loop of the first stitch, and then insert your hook under the front loop of the next. Yarn over and pull it through. Then yarn over and pull through both loops. Great job. Now we need to do that 2 more times. We're going to make a color change back to red at the end, so I'll meet you at the final decrease. So I'm at the final decrease now, and we're going to do it the same way. Insert your hook under the front loop of each stitch. Yarn over and pull it through, and pause. Make sure the cream yarn is nice and tight around your hook. Then find the red yarn, and we're going to drape it over the hook, and we're going to pull it through both of the cream loops. The only thing that you want to be careful of is that the red yarn is nice and loose inside the head. You want there to be a lot of slack in the yarn. If it's being pulled super tight from that side to this side, then it can kind of warp the head. You want it to be relaxed and loose inside the head. Once you're ready, pull the red yarn through the loops, and then give the cream yarn a tug to secure it. And make sure the red yarn isn't being pulled across tightly. You should be able to kind of wiggle it around. Now, to complete this round, we're going to make 3 single crochets and then a decrease. I'm going to speed it up, but go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you for the next round. You should have 24 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. Here's how he's looking now. I know that was tricky, but great job, everyone. Now it's time for round 9. We're going to single crochet, decrease, single crochet, and decrease where we'll do a color change. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you at the last decrease. So just like before, we're going to only do half of the decrease. Insert your hook under both front loops, yarn over and pull it through, then pause. Now we want to grab our cream colored yarn and we're going to do it the same way we did with the red. Make sure it stays nice and loose on the inside of the head and drape it over your hook. Then pull the cream through both of the red loops. Great job! Tighten the red yarn. Now with the cream yarn, we're going to single crochet, decrease 3 times, making a color change with the last decrease. So let's do that. Make 2 single crochets. And now decrease. Now do that 2 more times and I'll meet you for the final decrease/color change. Great job, everyone. We're going to do the color change the same way. Make half of the decrease. And now drape the red yarn over the hook, keeping it nice and loose on the inside. And pull it through both cream loops. Then tug the cream yarn to tighten and secure the stitch. And once you're ready, with the red yarn, we're going to single crochet, and decrease to finish it. I'm going to speed it up and meet you for the next round, but you should have 18 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Round 10. This time we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, and I'll meet you at the last one because we're going to do a color change there. Also, you'll probably notice that I inserted the eyes, but just ignore them because I ended up redoing it, and we'll insert them after this round. We're going to do this color change very similarly to how we did it with the decreases. Insert the hook, yarn over and pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through just the first loop. Perfect, good job everyone. Now drape your cream yarn on top, and when you're ready, pull it through both of the red loops. Give the red a tug to secure the stitch, and then we'll start crocheting with the cream. Now we're going to single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, and decrease with the color change back to red. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you at the color change. Great job, and we're going to make the color change the same way we've been doing it. Make half of the decrease, then change to red, making sure it's nice and loose inside the head. There we go. Now give the cream a tug to secure the stitch. And now with the red, we're going to complete this round by making 3 single crochets before slip stitching and chaining 1. And at the end, you should have 15 stitches. So keep going and I'll meet you at the end for our next steps. Great job, and now we're going to insert the eyes and stuff the head. Before we start, insert your stitch marker in the loop where your hook is. We're doing this so that our project doesn't accidentally unravel. So you should have 2 eyes and 2 backings. Use the cream section to center the head, and then grab the first eye, and we're going to insert it a little off center between rounds 5 and 6. So starting at the circle on the top, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Insert it a little off center. We want to have 4 stitches between the eyes, and it might take a little adjusting, but pop that one in right between the rows and right between the stitches. And then count 4 stitches, 4 of these little V's. Grab the second eye and insert it there. Check it out from all angles to make sure it's centered correctly. Ignore the seam from our slip stitches because that's not centered in the back, it's a little to the side. Make sure that you can clearly see 4 stitches visible between the eyes and adjust as necessary. Use the edges of the cream section to help you make sure it's centered. Just keep checking it out from all angles. I'm going to adjust mine a little bit. And once you're happy with them, then you can grab the backings and place them on the back. You should kind of feel them click or pop into place. And now grab your stuffing and we're going to stuff the head. Start at the bottom and then try and line the walls before placing the stuffing in the middle. Check the head to see if there are any spots that look deflated and stuff accordingly. You don't want to put too much stuffing in it because it can cause your stitches to stretch out and show the middle. Also, make sure you leave some stuffing for the body/tail later, as well as a little for the legs. Once you're happy with it, do a little squeeze test to make sure it's keeping its shape, and then we'll do the last round. Great job, everyone! Now you can remove the stitch marker from the loop and reinsert your hook into it. Now for round 11, we're going to decrease, decrease, and decrease with a color change. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you after the color change. Perfect. Now with the cream yarn, we're again going to decrease, decrease, and decrease with a color change. Perfect. We're so close to the end now. To finish this, we're going to decrease and then single crochet in the very last stitch. So let's do it. There's my decrease. And there's my single crochet. You should now have 8 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always, and then we're going to fasten off. Grab your scissors and we're going to cut the red yarn, leaving a long tail that we're going to use to close the hole, as well as sew the head to the body later. And then use your hook to pull the yarn up and through the chain 1, and then give it a tug to secure the knot. Great job! And now for the white yarn, give that a tug to help secure the stitch, and then cut it, leaving a short tail, that we're just going to tuck inside the body to hide it. Now grab your tapestry needle and thread the end of the yarn through it. I like to put the end next to the hole and use my finger to kind of rub it through. To close this hole, we're going to insert the needle through the front loop of all 8 stitches. So find the first stitch. You might have to kind of shimmy the knot to the side to find it. Then insert it under the front loop only, going from the outside to the inside or away from you. And that's our first one done. Now insert your needle under the front loop of the next one. That's the second one done, and keep going through all 8. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now's the fun part. Pull the yarn, and like magic, the hole is going to tighten and close up. Great job, everyone. And that's all we're doing. We're going to leave this tail to attach the head to the body later. And here's the completed head. Great job, everyone. This is a great stopping point to rest your hands. And in the next part, we're going to make the body/tail. We're going to make the body/tail now. So grab the red yarn and let's get started. We need to begin by making a magic ring. I'm going to show you my favorite way to make one, but if you're an advanced crocheter, then feel free to make it the traditional way. Take the yarn with your right hand and you want to bring it up between your pointer and middle fingers of your left hand and drape it over your pointer finger. And then use your ring and pinky fingers to hold the working yarn against your palm. Now pinch the tail of the yarn with your middle finger and thumb. Now take the tail and make a loop that goes under the point that you're pinching and re-pinch it. Just like that. And this is our magic ring. Now take your hook and insert it into the ring with your hook facing down. Grab the yarn and bring it through the ring, then twist the hook towards you and up. And chain 1. Great job. Now we're going to make 6 single crochets into the ring. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again and pull through both. And don't forget your stitch marker. And now make 5 more single crochets. Once you've made 6 single crochets, then you can pull the tail to close the ring. And as always, to finish a round, we need to slip stitch to the first one and chain 1. Just like before, we're going to increase, increase, increase all the way around. Make 2 single crochets into every stitch. There's my first increase. Now make 5 more increases. Great job. You should now have 12 stitches, and as always, we're going to finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Round 3. We're going to be making the tail in this round, and we want to have 9 chains, including our chain 1 from ending the last round. So for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to undo that, and now I'm going to chain 9. Great job. And now before we start, grab 2 of your stitch markers and we're going to place them in the bottom loops of the first and second chains. We're going to need to find these later, and it can be tricky if you don't place a stitch marker in there now. Once you're ready, then we're going to skip the first chain and make a single crochet in the top loop of the second chain. Perfect, and don't forget your stitch marker. Now make one single crochet in each of the next 7 chains in just the top loop. Great job, everyone! Once you've made the 8 single crochets, then we're going to start working around the circle. Starting in the first stitch, we're going to single crochet, increase, all the way around. So insert your hook into the first stitch where we made the slip stitch and make a single crochet. Awesome, and now increase in the next. Now single crochet, increase 5 more times, and I'll meet you at the end. Great job, and now we're going to work on the unused side of the chain. We're going to make 7 single crochets and then decrease using the last 2 chains. It's easier to find the next spot we're inserting our hook into by starting at these 2 stitch markers and counting from there. So that's 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the 9th one, the one we're inserting our hook into. So insert the hook into that loop and make a single crochet. Now make 6 more single crochets, 1 in each loop. Great job, and now we've made it to our stitch markers and we're going to make a decrease. Go ahead and remove them. Then insert your hook into the first loop. Then insert your hook into the next loop. And finish the decrease as normal. And now we're going to work on the other side of the tail again to finish this round. Remove the stitch marker, and we're going to make another decrease. Insert your hook into the front loop of the first stitch, and then insert into the front loop of the next. And decrease as normal. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. So make 7 single crochets, and I'll meet you at the end. Fantastic! You should now have 34 stitches, and we're going to finish the round the same way we always do, by slip stitching to the next one and chaining 1. Okay, that was pretty tricky, but you did such a great job. Now for round 4, we're going to single crochet, increase. 2 single crochets, increase all the way around the circle. So let's make the first 2 single crochets. Insert your hook into the stitch we just slip stitched into and make a single crochet. Don't forget your stitch marker, and then make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Perfect. Now we need to increase. Great job. Repeat that 5 more times and I'll meet you to work around the tail. Fantastic work, everyone. Now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So go ahead and do that. Nice job. Now we're going to make 1 decrease. And now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the remaining stitches. So make 7 single crochets. You should have 38 stitches at the end and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. Round 5. This will be a much easier round. Start by making 28 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 28 stitches. It'll go around the circle and up the tail. So keep going and I'll meet you at the end. There we go. Count and make sure you made 28 single crochets. And now we're going to decrease, 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 then finish with 1 single crochet in the last 4 stitches. So let's make our 3 decreases. Perfect, and now 4 single crochets. You should now have 35 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Round 6. We're going to begin by making a decrease. So insert your hook under the front loop of the first stitch, then insert it into the front loop of the next, then finish the decrease as normal. And don't forget your stitch marker. Now we're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 20 stitches. So I'll speed through that and meet you for the next steps. Alrighty, count and make sure that you've made 21 stitches total so far, and then when you're ready, you're going to make another decrease. Now make one single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Perfect. Now we need to make 3 decreases. If yours is curling inwards like mine, then pop it out so we can clearly see the front loops, and then make your 3 decreases. Now we're going to finish this round by making one single crochet in each of the last 3 stitches, ignoring the slip stitch and chain 1 as always. Great job, everyone! You should now have 30 stitches, and when you're done, you can finish with the slip stitch and chain 1. It's already looking so cool. Great job, everyone. Now for round 7. We're going to begin with a decrease again, so go ahead and do that. Now make one single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Perfect, and now we're going to decrease, decrease. There's my first decrease. And there's my second decrease. Now we're going to make one single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Awesome, and again, we're going to decrease, decrease. Now single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Now we're going to decrease, 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 decrease. So make 4 decreases, and then I'll meet you to finish the round. Finally, we're going to make one single crochet in each of the last 2 stitches. Great job, everyone! You should now have 21 stitches and finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now, before we move on, we're going to stuff the body. Place the stitch marker in the loop where your hook is so that our project doesn't accidentally unravel. Now, grab your stuffing and we're going to stuff it the same way we did the head. Start at the bottom and then try to line the walls before placing the stuffing in the middle. Check the body from all angles to see if there are any spots that look deflated and stuff accordingly. You don't want to put too much stuffing in it because it can cause your stitches to stretch out. Also, make sure that you leave a little bit of stuffing for the legs. It won't require too much though. Once you're happy with it, do a little squeeze test to make sure it keeps its shape, and then we'll do the last rounds. Round 8. Just like we've been doing, start this round by making a decrease. And don't forget your stitch marker. Now we're going to single crochet, decrease, decrease, 3 times total. So let's make our first 2 single crochets. Awesome, and now make 2 decreases. There's my first decrease. And there's my second decrease. Now repeat that 2 more times, 2 single crochets and 2 decreases. Great job, everyone. Finish this round by making 1 single crochet in the very last stitch. You should now have 14 stitches, and when you're done, make a slip stitch and chain 1, and then we'll move on. Our last round, round 9, we're going to decrease, decrease, decrease all the way around. So let's make the first decrease. Pop your stitch marker in there, and now make 6 more decreases. Great job, so you should now have 7 stitches, and when you're done, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 as always. And then we're going to fasten off. Cut the yarn, leaving a nice long tail that we're going to use to close up this hole. Now use your hook to pull the yarn through the chain 1 and give the yarn a tug to tighten the knot. Now grab your tapestry needle and thread the end of the yarn through it. I like to put the yarn end next to the hole and use my finger to kind of rub it through. To close the hole, we're going to insert our needle into the front loop of all 7 stitches. So find your first stitch. You might have to kind of shimmy the knot to the side to find it. Then insert it under the front loop only, going from the inside to the outside or away from you. That's our first one done. Now insert your needle under the front loop of the next one and pull it through. Keep going through all 7. There's 3. 4. 5. 6. And 7. Before we finish this, I'm just going to add a little bit more stuffing to mine, but that's totally optional. Now's the fun part. Pull the yarn, and like magic, the hole is going to tighten and close up. Great job, everyone. So satisfying. I love that part. We're going to start by crocheting the cream-colored patch for his belly. To begin, we need to make a slip knot, so take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around your pointer finger of your left hand and make a loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten until it fits nicely around your hook without being too tight. And now we need to chain 4. Great job, everyone. We're going to skip the very first chain and make 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 chains. Don't forget about your stitch marker. Once you've made 3 single crochets, then you can chain 1 and turn your work. For row 2, we're going to increase, single crochet, and increase in the last stitch. So let's make the first increase. Perfect. Now make 1 single crochet in the next stitch and finish with an increase in the last stitch. You should now have 5 stitches, and when you're done, chain 1 and turn your work. Now for rows 3, 4, and 5, so 3 rows total, all we're going to do is make 1 single crochet in each stitch. Easy peasy. I'm going to speed up through this, but just make 5 single crochets, chain 1, and turn your work 3 times, and I'll meet you at the end. Great job, everyone. For the last row, row 6, we're going to decrease, single crochet, and decrease again to finish it. We're going to make the decreases a little differently. Insert the hook under both loops of the first stitch, yarn over and pull it through. Then insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Pull the first one through the last 2. And that's our decrease. Now make 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Awesome, and now we need to decrease again. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through. Insert your hook into the last stitch, yarn over and pull through. Then pull it through both loops. Great job, everyone. Finish this by chaining 1 nice and tight, and then we'll fasten off. We're going to cut the yarn, leaving a long tail that we'll use to sew this onto the belly, and then you can use your hook to pull it up and through the chain 1 and give the yarn a tug to secure the knot. And the belly patch is finished. Set this aside and we'll move on to the next one. Now we're going to make the legs. Grab your red yarn again and let's get started. To begin, we need to make a slip knot. So take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around your pointer finger of your left hand and make a loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten until it fits nicely around your hook without being too tight. And now we need to chain 5. We're going to work on both sides of the chain just like we did for the tail. So before we start, grab a stitch marker and we're going to insert it into the bottom loop of the second chain from the hook. Now we're going to skip the first chain and then we'll single crochet, and single crochet. So let's go ahead and make the first single crochet. Don't forget your stitch marker. Now make 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Now in this last chain, we're going to make a triple increase, just like we did for the tail. Insert your hook into this loop and make your first single crochet. Now reinsert your hook in there. Move the tail out of the way and finish making the second single crochet. Awesome job. Now we're going to finish on the other side of the chain. So find the other loop of this chain Then insert your hook and make the final single crochet. Now we're going to single crochet, then increase where our stitch marker is. So make one single crochet in each of the next 2 chains. Awesome, now we're going to increase in the last chain. Count and make sure that you have 10 stitches, and then you can slip stitch to the first and chain 1. Round 2, we're going to single crochet in every stitch around, but only in the back loop or the loop that's farther away from you. So insert the hook into the back loop of the first stitch, and then make the first single crochet. Don't forget your stitch marker. Now continue making a single crochet in the back loop only, and I'll meet you at the end. You should still have 10 stitches, and when you're done, go ahead and slip stitch to the first and chain 1. Round 3, we're going to single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So make one single crochet in each of the first 3 stitches. Awesome job. Now we're going to decrease, decrease, decrease. So insert your hook into the front loop of the first stitch, then insert it into the front loop of the next, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over again and pull through both. Make 2 more decreases, and then I'll meet you to finish the round. Great job. Now we're going to make one single crochet in the very last stitch. Count and make sure that you have 7 stitches, and then you can slip stitch and chain 1. The last round, round 4. All we're going to do is single crochet, single crochet, single crochet all the way around. So make 7 single crochets, slip stitch to the first and chain 1, then I'll meet you to fasten off. Awesome job, everyone. We want to cut the yarn, leaving a nice long tail that we'll use to sew the legs onto the body. There we go. Now use your hook to pull it through the chain 1, then tug the yarn to secure the knot. Repeat all of that and make one more leg, and then we'll move on. Keep your red yarn handy, and we'll make the arms now. We need to begin by making a magic ring. I'm going to show you my favorite way to make one, but if you're an advanced crocheter, then feel free to make it the traditional way. Take the yarn with your right hand, and you want to bring it up between your pointer and middle fingers of your left hand and drape it over your pointer finger. And then use your ring and pinky fingers to hold the working yarn against your palm. Now pinch the tail of the yarn with your middle finger and thumb. Now take the tail and make a loop that goes under the point that you're pinching and re-pinch it. Just like that. And this is our magic ring. Now take your hook and insert it into the ring with your hook facing down. Grab the yarn and bring it through the ring, then twist the hook towards you and up. And chain 1. Great job. Now we want to make 4 single crochets into the ring. Don't forget to put the stitch marker on the first one. Once you've made the 4, then you can pull the tail and close the ring. And as always, we're going to slip stitch and chain 1, but these stitches are pretty far apart. So once you've inserted your hook into the first stitch, pull the yarn nice and tight to bring them closer together, and then finish the slip stitch as normal and chain 1. Round 2, we're going to single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. Super easy. I'll speed up through this and meet you for the next round. At the end, you should have made 6 stitches. Now for rounds 3, 4, and 5, so 3 rounds total, all we're going to do is single crochet in every stitch around. So I'll speed up through this and meet you to finish it up. Make sure you still have 6 stitches, then slip stitch to the first, chain 1, and fasten off. And again, we want to leave a nice long tail that we're going to use to sew the arm onto the body. Great job, everyone. Make one more arm, and then we'll start the next part. And now it's time to make the final red part. We're going to make his outer wings. To begin, we need to make a slip knot. So take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around your pointer finger of your left hand and make a loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten until it fits nicely around your hook without being too tight. And now we need to chain 8. We're going to learn a lot of new stitches, so we'll go slowly through this. We're going to skip the first chain and make a slip stitch in the second chain. So let's go ahead and do that before moving on. Now we're going to make a half double crochet in the next chain. To make a half double crochet, we need to start by yarning over, then insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through all 3. Perfect. Now we're going to make a double crochet in the next chain. Again, we need to begin by yarning over, then insert your hook into the chain, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over again and pull through both. Good job, everyone. Now we're going to use the next 2 chains to make a half double crochet decrease. So yarn over first, then insert your hook into the first chain, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over and pull it through. You should now have 4 loops on your hook. We're going to pull the first loop through the last 3. And that's our half double crochet decrease. Great job. Now we're going to make 1 double crochet in the next chain. Begin by yarning over, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through just the first 2 loops, and now yarn over again and pull through the final 2. Great job. Now in the last chain, we're going to make 1 single crochet. You should have made 6 stitches, and when you're done, you can chain 1 and turn your work. Row 2, it's going to be very similar. Start by making a slip stitch in the very first stitch. Perfect. Now we're going to make a half double crochet in the next stitch. Yarn over first, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Now we need to make a double crochet. Yarn over, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Now yarn over again and pull through the last 2 loops. Awesome job, everyone. Now make a single crochet in the next stitch. Easy peasy. Now we're going to make another double crochet. So yarn over and then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over again and pull through 2. And now we'll finish this with 1 single crochet in the last stitch. You should still have 6 stitches, and when you're ready, chain 1 and turn your work. Last row, row 3. We're going to slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch. So make your 3 slip stitches, and then I'll meet you for the next one. Awesome. Now we're going to half double crochet increase in the next one. So let's make the first half double crochet. Yarn over and then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Now yarn over and reinsert your hook in the same spot and make another half double crochet. Great job. And in the last 2 stitches, we're going to slip stitch and slip stitch. You should now have 7 stitches, and when you're ready, we'll chain 1 and fasten off. Cut the yarn and leave a long tail that we'll use to sew the wing onto the body. Then pull the tail through the chain 1 and tug the yarn to secure the knot. Now make 1 more wing, and then we'll move on. We're going to make the inner wings now, so grab your orange yarn and we'll jump in. To begin, we need to make a slip knot, so take the end of the yarn in your right hand and leave a bit of a tail. Now wrap it around your pointer finger of your left hand and make a loop. Slide the loop off your finger and take the tail and bring it to the back like it's splitting the loop in half. Bring the tail through the loop while holding the tail and working yarn until it tightens and you have your slip knot. Now you can insert your hook and gently tighten until it fits nicely around your hook without being too tight. And now we need to chain 6. This will be pretty easy, only 1 row. We're going to skip the first chain and make 1 single crochet in the second chain. So go ahead and do that. Perfect. And now we're going to make a half double crochet in the next chain. So yarn over first, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again and pull it through all 3 loops. Now we need to make a double crochet in the next chain. Yarn over first, insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through the first two, then yarn over again and pull through the last two. Great job. Now we need to make a half double crochet in the next chain. Yarn over first, insert your hook, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Fantastic. And now to finish this, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the very last chain. Great job, everyone. Now we'll fasten off, so when you're ready, chain 1. Then grab your scissors and we need to cut the yarn, leaving a long tail that we'll use to attach this to the outer wing. Then pull it through the chain 1 and give the yarn a tug to secure the knot. Repeat that and make 1 more inner wing before moving on to the next part. We're going to make the bumps for his tail now, so grab your yellow yarn and let's get started. We need to start by making a magic ring. Take the yarn with your right hand and you want to bring it up between your pointer and middle fingers of your left hand. And then use your ring and pinky fingers to hold the working yarn against your palm. Now pinch the tail of the yarn with your middle finger and thumb. Now take the tail and make a loop that goes under the point that you're pinching and re-pinch it. Just like that. And this is our magic ring. Now take your hook and insert it into the ring with your hook facing down. Grab the yarn and bring it through the ring, then twist the hook towards you and up and chain 1. Great job. Now we're going to make 5 single crochets into the ring. Once you've made 5 single crochets, then you can pull the tail to close the ring. And as always, to finish a round, we need to slip stitch to the first one and chain 1. Round 2. All we're going to do is single crochet, single crochet, single crochet all the way around. Make 1 single crochet in each stitch and I'll meet you at the end. Great job. Once you've made 5 single crochets, then you can finish with a slip stitch and chain 1, and then we'll fasten off. Cut the yarn, leaving a long tail that we're going to use to sew these bumps onto the tail. Then pull the yarn through the chain 1 and tug it to secure the knot. And there's our tail bump. Follow these steps to make 1 more bump and then we'll move on. We're going to keep going with the yellow yarn and make his ears now. Begin by making a slip knot. And when you're ready, chain 4. This is super easy, only 1 row. We're going to skip the first chain and then we're going to slip stitch, half double crochet, then single crochet. So go ahead and make a slip stitch in the second chain. Great job. And now we're going to half double crochet in the next one. So yarn over, then insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. Great job. Now we're going to finish by making 1 single crochet in the last chain. Perfect job, everyone. That's the ear. To finish, we're going to chain 1 and fasten off. We want to have a long enough tail to sew these onto the head later. Then, when you're ready, pull it through the chain 1 and tug the yarn to secure the knot. Make 1 more ear and then we'll move on. And now we're going to crochet the last part, his yellow horns. So let's get started. Begin by making a slip knot. Now we're going to chain 4. These are very similar to the ears. We're going to skip the first chain, and then we're going to slip stitch, half double crochet, then double crochet. So go ahead and make a slip stitch in the second chain. Great job. Now we're going to half double crochet in the next. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Great job. Now we're going to double crochet in the next chain. Again, yarn over first, then insert the hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And that's the double crochet done. And now to finish, we're going to chain 1 and fasten off. Cut the yarn, leaving a long tail that we'll use to sew the sides of the horn together to form a cone shape, as well as to sew it onto the head later. Now grab your tapestry needle and we'll sew the sides of it together. Looking at the side where we just cut the yarn, you should see 3 V's. Insert the needle into the bottom V, and then insert it into the loop right next to it on the other side. And pull it all the way through. Now insert it into the loop right above where your yarn's coming out of, and then insert it into the V in the middle on the other side, and pull it all the way through. And then do that for the last V. Insert the needle into the top one, and insert it into the loop right beside it on the other side, and pull it all the way through. And now we want to get it down to the bottom next to the other end, so insert it into the loop of the unused top chain, and then down at the bottom, you'll see some yarn that's going sideways. Insert it in there. It doesn't really matter where, you just want to get it down and secured to the bottom. And then when you're ready, pull it all the way through. Make 1 more horn, and then we're all done. Make sure to pause and rest your hands for a bit, and in the next part, we're going to sew and attach everything together. Time to sew everything together. Start by bending the body so that it has a little curve to it. Now we're going to sew the head and body together. Thread the needle with the end from the head, then line up and press the round ones of each one together. Make sure that the head is looking forward. Then hold it nice and tight together, and when you're ready, we'll start sewing. We're going to insert the needle into the body, starting right where our yarn is, then bring it out on the other side of the stitch and pull it all the way through. Then insert it into the head, right where you see the yarn coming from, and bring it out on the other side of the stitch, pulling it through nice and tight. Then we'll go back to the body, find where the yarn's coming out of, and insert there, coming out on the other side of the stitch. Then back to the head, insert in the space where we came out previously, and come out on the other side of the stitch. Continue like that all the way around. Remember, you can slow this down in the settings below, and I'll meet you at the end to finish it. Great job. Once you've gone all the way around and it's fully attached together, you might notice it's a little wobbly. If your needle isn't on the side of the head, then bring it over there and we'll fix the wobbliness. Insert your needle upwards around the stitch on the body that's right on the edge of where your head and body meet, and then insert your needle upwards into a stitch of the head right above it, also right on the edge, and pull it through nice and tight. Go back into that stitch on the body and bring it through on the other side right at the bottom of the row on the edge. Then insert your needle upwards through a stitch on the head and pull it tight to bring it all together. And now finish this by inserting your needle in and out of the head and body until it's all hidden. Now we'll sew this belly patch onto his body. Arrange it so that the long yarn end is on the top right, then position it on his body right in the middle and tucked up right beneath his head. And when you're ready, we'll start sewing. Insert your needle down through the first stitch on the belly patch, bringing it into the body, then skip a few stitches and bring it out so it's right beneath the other corner of the belly, and bring it through the belly as well. Insert your needle back into the body and bring it out on the other side of the stitch going downwards. And bring it through that spot on the belly as well. Pull it nice and tight. Go back into the same space on the body and skip a couple rows, bringing it out right where it starts to angle in. And bring it through the belly as well. Go back into the same space on the body, bringing it out right where the bottom corner of the belly is, and bring it through the belly as well. Make sure that you're following the angles of the patch so you won't go straight down but a little to the side. Tuck this other end away so that it's being hidden by the belly. Then insert your needle back into the same spot on the body and bring it out where your other corner is, and bring it through the belly as well. And continue sewing it like this up the last side of the belly. Go back into the same spot on the body, bringing it back out and through the belly wherever you want to sew. Once you're back at the beginning, just weave the yarn in and out of the head and body until it's all hidden. Now we need to lightly stuff the legs. Don't use too much, just enough to give them a little volume, and don't tuck your magic ring end inside the foot. We're going to use it, so you want it to stay out. Once you're ready to start sewing, thread the magic ring end, and we'll use that to help position the leg. We want this to line up with round 6 and be on the side of the belly. Once you're ready, insert the needle a few stitches away from the belly, and going towards the back of the body, bring your needle out a few stitches away. Make sure you like it, then thread your other end. Picture the top of the leg as 2 rows of stitches that we're going to sew together. Insert your needle into the body right where your yarn is and bring it out on the other side of the stitch. Then insert your needle going towards you through the 2 stitches on the very end, so the first and last stitches of the round. Then back to the body, insert into the space where we just came out and bring it through on the other side of the stitch. Then go towards you through the middle stitches of the leg. Back to the body again, go in where we exited previously and come back out on the other side of the stitch. Then go towards you through the last stitches, which are really the 3rd and 4th of the round. Finish by inserting your needle back into the body right where our yarn is and bring it out in the same space as our magic ring end. Double knot the ends together, trim the excess, and then hide it away inside. Sew on the second leg the same way, and then we'll move on. Now we'll sew the arms on. Make sure both ends are out and visible, and adjust it if you need to get the long end on the side. Thread your magic ring end first, and we'll use that to get our arm in the right spot, just like we did for the legs. We want it right on the edge where the head and body meet, and for the back of the arm and leg to be in line with each other. Once you're happy with where it is, insert the needle into that space where it meets, right in the middle of where you want the arm, and bring it out and down towards the front of the body. Make sure you're happy with it, then thread your other end and we'll sew it on. This is in a pretty tough spot to sew, but I'm going to try to make it easy. Insert the needle away from you through the first stitch of the arm right next to the knot. Then insert into the body in line with the leg, coming out on the other side of the stitch. Once you've pulled it all the way through, then you can insert your needle away from you through the next stitch of the arm. Go back into the body where we just came out and come out on the other side of the stitch. Then insert away from you through the next stitch of the arm. Then insert your needle back into the body and bring it out in the same spot as the magic ring end and finish the way we finished the legs. Double knot the ends, trim them, and hide them away. Sew on your second arm the same way before moving on. Next, we're going to sew the wings together, so arrange them the way that I have, with the curvy part of the main wing on the bottom, and then the short ends on top and long ends on bottom. When you're ready, thread the long orange end and we'll start sewing. Find this little red loop first and pull it through there. You shouldn't be able to see the needle from the back. Then insert your needle through this orange loop right on the very top edge. Right behind it will be another solo red loop that you shouldn't be able to see from the back. Pull it through there. Tuck your other end away on the inside between the wings. Then insert your needle into this orange loop right before the knot and insert through this solo red loop right behind the knot and pull it all the way through. Tuck it and hide it behind the wing, and that's basically it. Insert your needle under and through the wings, bringing it out on the other side. Trim the excess and tuck it away between the wings to hide it. Sew your second wing the same way, and then I'll meet you for the next step. This is how we want to have the wings arranged now, with the long ends on the bottom and short ends on top. Thread your short end first, and then we'll start sewing. First, we need to figure out where we want them to be. We want it right behind the arms, right below the head, and going on a slight angle down the tail. Once you're happy with it, insert your needle into the body right where the edge is, and bring it out in a random spot on the other side of the tail. Make sure you like it, then you can thread your other end and we'll start sewing. Insert it into the body right where the yarn is and bring it out on the other side of the stitch, following the line of the wing, so I'm going up and sideways a bit. Then insert down into the middle of the wing and pull it through. Now back to the body, insert into the space we just came out of, and bring it through on the other side of the stitch, again following the angle of the wing. Insert up through the next part of the wing, then go back into the body where we just came out and bring it through on the other side of the stitch. Now insert into the last space on the wing to fully secure it. Now we need to make that little line going down the front of the wing. Insert your needle through these 2 V's on the back and pull all the way through. Go through the loop right above going away from you. Then turn it over and drape it to find where it goes straight down. And insert your needle through that stitch. Now you're just going to keep inserting the needle around this line of yarn to create this little twisty look. Keep going until you can't fit any more. Then insert your needle back through that same loop on the top and go through those same 2 V's. Then go into the body and come out in the same space as the other end. Now you can double knot, trim, and hide them away. Repeat all of that and sew on the second wing, and then we'll move on. We're going to sew the ears and horns on now, but we'll start by positioning them to make sure that we like them all. I did the first ear and horn already. For the horn, we're going to start by threading the end that's coming from the middle. We want them to be attached between rounds 3 and 5. We're going to insert this end right between rounds 3 and 4 and just about right at the halfway point of the head. So insert your needle around that spot, skipping 2 stitches and pull it through. Do that with both of the horns and then check from all angles to make sure that you like how they look. Scoot them forwards or backwards a stitch until you're happy with them. For the ear, start by threading the end that's going to be closer to the inside of the head. The ears will be about a stitch behind the horns, and they'll go around rounds 5 and 7. So when you're ready, count 1 stitch and insert your needle, skipping a couple stitches, and then pull it all the way through. Make sure you're happy with how it looks. Then you can thread your other end, and we're going to insert it straight below 3 rows down. Insert your needle, skip a couple stitches, and then pull it all the way through. Do that with both of the ears, then check it out and make sure you're happy with how everything looks and that everything is lined up with each other, and then we'll start sewing. We're going to start with the horns, thread the end that we've worked with already, then go back into the body and bring it out on the other side of the first stitch. We only want 1 stitch between the horn and where the yarn's coming out. Then, when you're ready, insert your needle down behind this little sideways loop, right in the middle at the bottom of the horn. Pull it all the way through, nice and tight, while holding the yarn so that it doesn't get warped. Then insert your needle back into the same stitch on the bottom and go up towards the center of the head on the other side of the stitch. Insert the needle through a solo loop on this side of the horn and pull it all the way through. Then insert back into the body and bring it out in a random spot a few stitches away. Thread your other end and insert it straight down in the same row as the tail from the ear is going into, and bring it out in the same space as your other end. Then you can knot and trim and hide them away. Sew the other horn on the same way, and then we'll finish sewing the ears. Thread the needle with the end that's on the outer part of the ear. Insert your needle into the head, coming out in the middle of the stitch that's right next to where the yarn is going in. Once you're ready, insert down into the back loop of the bottom stitch on the side of the ear, pull it nice and tight, and then insert back into the body and come out in a random spot. Now thread the other end and do the same thing. If you can't get it out in the middle of a stitch like I can't right now, then you can just bring the yarn back out of the body, reinsert your needle into the same stitch going towards the front of the body this time, then find that back loop to insert down into, pulling it all the way through. Then insert back into the body, bringing it out in the same space as the other end, and finish as normal. Knot them, trim them, and hide them away. Now attach the second ear the same way before moving on. We're going to embroider the black lines for his nose now. So thread your needle with the black yarn and we'll get started. Insert the needle from below and bring it out on the top of this first red row a little off center. You want it to be about 2 stitches away from the eye. And make sure you pull a lot of yarn through, leaving a little bit sticking out from the bottom. This is going to be angled slightly, so insert your needle 1 row up and a little adjacent, so it's about 1 stitch away from the eye now. Skip 2 or 3 stitches and bring it out so it's 1 stitch away from the other eye. Now insert back down in the row below a couple stitches away from the eye and bring it out in the same space as our first end. Make sure you're happy with how it looks before finishing by trimming it, knotting it, and hiding it away. Now grab your hot pink yarn and we'll embroider all the little lines on his head. We're going to make a line in between these rounds where the inner parts of the horn are sewed on. So insert your needle from the back and bring it out in this round a stitch or 2 away from the horn. Pull it all the way through, leaving a bit of yarn sticking out in the back. Great job! Skip a stitch or 2 and insert your needle back into the head, coming out 1 stitch below. Make sure you're happy with it and adjust now if you need to. Now we're going to make a shorter line right below it. Insert your needle back into the space it's coming out of and bring it out on the other side of the next one. Skip a couple stitches and insert it back down into the head, bringing it out 1 row down and a few stitches over. We're going to make another line here, going across a couple stitches and ending under the horn. So go ahead and reinsert your needle, bringing it out 1 stitch up and above the next stitch over. Now we're going to make another tiny little line. Sorry this got cut off a little bit, but insert it into the next space and bring it out 1 row down on the other side of the head, right above the eye, and we'll get ready for the last lines. We're going to make the longer line first. Skip a couple stitches and insert your needle, bringing it out above it but 1 stitch to the side, so go diagonally. Then insert into the next space, coming out in the same space as the first end and pull it all the way through. Check and make sure that you're happy with it, then you can trim the long end, knot them together, and hide them away. I'd recommend placing your needle under this first line that we made just so that it doesn't get pulled too tight while making the knot. And finally, the last step, we're going to sew the bumps onto the tail. We're going to sew the one that goes on the very tip of the tail first, so thread your magic ring end and we'll get it positioned on. Insert your needle into the middle of the tip of the tail and bring it out through the bottom of the tail in a random spot. Make sure you like how it looks, then thread your other end, making sure it's positioned facing down, and then we'll get started sewing. Start by inserting your needle into the tail right below our starting point and bring it out on the other side of the stitch. Pull it through nice and tight. Then insert your needle up through the first stitch of the bump, the one that's right beside the slip knot, chain one in the knot. Then insert your needle down through the next stitch of the bump. Now insert your needle back into the tail in the same space we just came out of, coming out on the other side of the stitch, following the curve of the bump, so I'm going upwards. Then insert your needle up through the previous stitch of the bump that we just came out of, and come back down through the next stitch. Now go back into the body where we just came out and come out on the other side of the stitch, still following the curve, so I'm going sideways this time. Then up through the previous stitch on the bump and down through the next. Now back to the body, insert where we came out and come out on the other side of the stitch. This time I'm going downwards. Then up through the previous stitch on the bump and down through the last one. Now to finish, insert your needle underneath the bump into the tail and bring it out in the same space as our magic ring end. Knot them together, trim the excess, and hide it away. Now we'll figure out where to place the last bump. Thread your magic ring end, and then insert your needle right above the first bump, almost right in the center of the tail, and bring it out in a random spot. Adjust it by going up or down a stitch, then thread your other end and sew it on the same way we did the first one, finishing it by tying the ends together and hiding them away. And Blazer the Fire Dragon is officially finished. Thanks so much for joining me to make this. I hope you love yours as much as I love mine, and I'll see you next time. Bye!